All right, welcome to the Young Turks coverage of the Nina Turner rally in Cleveland. This is one of the most important elections. Now I'm going to be about to do hyperbole. You ready? Ever of my lifetime. But I really don't think it's hyperbole. I'm going to explain why in a minute, and I think I'm going to have time to explain. So we got a camera crew in Cleveland, and as soon as the speaker starts speaking, obviously we will go straight to it. I'll do some commentary probably between the speakers. So now, who are the speakers? Obviously, Nina Turner is going to speak at the end. Right before her is going to be a guy you might know, Bernie Sanders. It's a nice little role reversal because Nina Turner used to be the last speaker to introduce Bernie Sanders at so many of his rallies. She was, of course, his campaign co-chair in 2020. Now Bernie Sanders will be introducing Nina Turner, which is great. Now. This is a star-studded event. You've got other folks involved as well: Cori Bush, Keith Ellison, Cornel West, and so many others. So now, in terms of the state of the race and so many other things that are happening, I've got time to fill you in on that as I look at my hair there. Ooh. So good, European soccer star. Okay, so but before I get into why this race is so important and tell you a little bit about the speakers, including what Cori Bush was up to last night, which is amazing. I want to take a quick shot of what it looks like now. This will be our Trump moment as we show you an empty podium. Oh, not an empty podium. Somebody's getting the crowd ready. Here, can we take that live, Asher? Let me hear that a little bit. All right, we're getting that in 1 second. And yes, I'll be handling your comments.
You got to read the article, because when you read the article, usually you'll hear that the vast majority of the people who were vaccinated didn't get severely ill, didn't get hospitalized, and didn't die, and that's what matters, right?
Yeah, all right, here. Okay. So that's, I believe, a local person I'm not overly familiar with. That's called Keeping It Real. So Asher, let's switch the boxes. If we can, put me in the big box, and then we'll keep the speakers on the smaller box if we can, or no. Well, we'll see. No, we can't do that. All right, trust us then that we will go to it as soon as there are more national speakers. Let's put it that way, okay? And so I will be taking your comments throughout the day as well. So in fact, Eclectic Miscellaneous says, "Hi all, TYT on a Saturday. What is this? Hashtag vote Nina." Indeed, and so look, we call ourselves homo progressives, and this is as important a race as there could possibly be. Oh, look at that, we did get it in the small box. Are we American heroes? I guess. I mean, you know, Asher, who's doing it with us today? Is it Skip or Brandon?
Brandon today.
Okay, look at Brandon and Asher, American heroes. By the way, of course, we have cameras in Cleveland. That's why you can see it here. We've got a couple of cameras in Cleveland, not a big deal. It's actually really not a big deal. Okay, but we did make that effort and put those resources in so you guys can see this important rally and this important political moment. And thank you to all of our members for making that possible, including Eclectic Miscellanea, tyt.com/join, of course, to become a member. And Bro420, these are all members, says, hey, yeah, live TYT on the weekend. Go Nina, go give power back to the people. That's what we're going to talk about in a second. Lisa Vibe says, good morning, Jenks. Thanks for doing this today. Thank you for watching. Joe Smith on YouTube Super Chat says, hey everyone, if we get more people like Nina, we can change the whole landscape to serve the will of the people, not big money donors. That is exactly right. And so, look, let's talk about the importance of the race first, and then I'll get to the speakers. So this is Ohio's 11th district, parts of Cleveland and Akron and surrounding areas. You know, all the districts are drawn in absurd ways these days. And so now the reason is, and of course, Marcia Fudge used to hold this seat, and she became Biden's HUD secretary. And since she's at Housing and Urban Development, the seat opened up. It creates a special election. I should know a thing or two about special elections. And so here, Nina Turner raised a tremendous amount of money, obviously big name recognition, outside of Bernie Sanders and AOC, one of the biggest stars that progressives have in the whole country. So she jumped out to an enormous lead, internal poll from a real polling organization. And I wouldn't mess with you guys and tell you some nonsense poll, okay? I double checked that poll, I quadruple checked it, it was real. So she had a 50 to 15 lead, 35-point lead, just about 6 weeks ago or so, roughly. And so we were exuberant about that as progressives, and then the millions of dollars poured in, and just like I told you it would. And I told you she was running against 13 people. It didn't matter who they were going to pick. They were going to pick a name out of a hat, and corporate lobbyists and establishment Democrats were going to pour in millions of dollars. I said that to you from day one, and that's exactly what happened. The reason we do those so-called predictions on the show is so you can see, are we right, are we wrong? And of course, on a couple of occasions I've been wrong, and we tell you that, and we make fun of me, and it's fun, right? Okay, but if you watch the show a long time, the overwhelming majority of them are right. Whether I'm saying it, Anna's saying it, etc. That's because we study politics, and so there's no way in the world they're going to let a progressive giant like Nina Turner waltz into this seat. So in fact, they made a terrible mistake by picking Marcia Fudge. It's their arrogance. They didn't bother checking to see who was from that district, and it turns out, oops, Nina Turner's from that district. She was the Ohio State senator from that area, and so she not only has national name recognition, she has local name recognition because she was their state senator, and so it's a dramatic mistake by the establishment, potentially letting one of our giants in, and so they try to make up for that mistake when they saw that poll in a panic. Hillary Clinton came in and endorsed Brown. Now, if you're wondering who Brown is, you're not alone. Everybody's wondering who she is. Nobody knows her. She was the head of the Cuyahoga Democratic Party. She still is. She should have recused herself. And she's been criticized by the local papers and a bunch of local Democrats saying, you're in the middle of a primary, Democratic primary. You can't still be the head of the Democratic Party in this county. That's obviously insane. And she's like, I don't care. Corruption isn't the bug, it's the feature. I'm taking millions of dollars from corporate lobbyists and promising them left and right, I'll do whatever they want in public. You think I have a problem with corruption? There's an ethics probe against Brown right now. Intercept broke this story. She gave tens of millions of dollars to a company that her partner is involved in, right? I don't know how to categorize partners. I don't want to get into their personal lives, but I don't mean business partners, her romantic partners. They're not married yet. I don't care about their personal life at all. The only thing I care about is that guy's company gave Brown campaign contributions. They're romantically involved. However you want to phrase it, it makes me uncomfortable every time to talk about it in that context. But they're involved, and then she gives tens of millions of dollars in contracts to his company. It's, if proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's really illegal. That's not your normal legalized bribery where you take campaign contributions and you do a wink and a nod. That's actually technically illegal in Ohio. So she might be in a lot of trouble, but establishment Democrats saw that and thought, oh, that's even better. She's potentially purposely corrupt. That's exactly what we want. So Jim Clyburn rushed in his infinite corruption. He can cry, the establishment media can cry. I want to talk about them in a little bit as well. Oh no, you're not allowed to call Clyburn corrupt even though he takes millions of dollars of lobbyist money. No, I am allowed, I just said it. I'll say it again, I'll say it 1,000 times more. Oh no, but he's a legendary leader, if you say so. But all I've seen in the last several decades is him taking legalized bribe after legalized bribe after legalized bribe. And saying, whoa, big oil companies, drug companies, those are just my friends, they're just doing charity. Yeah, sure, if you say so. But for the rest of us, that looks like corruption. And so he brought in most of the Congressional Black Caucus against Nina Turner. Spoiler alert, Nina Turner's black. So why is the Congressional Black Caucus attacking a female black candidate? Because not all of them, there's wonderful people inside the Congressional Black Caucus, but unfortunately the majority take enormous campaign contributions from corporations, and they don't want Nina exposing their corruption. Now, the fact that they're going and doing this in an unprecedented way, when both of the candidates are, the major candidates are black, and there are no incumbents and there are none of their colleagues, all their excuses are gone. They have no excuse, none, and they're coming in anyway. That means we're right. They think Nina Turner is a giant. They are really worried about Nina Turner. And most importantly, they're this worried, not just because she's going to be a progressive. Now there are a decent number of progressives in Congress. They're worried that she's going to expose them. And that's why we're excited, okay? NinaTurner.com/hello. So, and they know Brown will do exactly as she's told. Look, here, I'll give you an example. Democratic majority for Israel is apparently obsessed with Cleveland and Akron. No, they're worried that Nina Turner is actually going to stand up for Palestinian rights. It's called Democratic majority. It's a total lie. It's former AIPAC board members. Is a deeply right-wing organization. It's a part of the organizations, including ExxonMobil, Comcast, and everyone else. It's not just them, okay? But they are part of the lobbyists that try to corrupt the Democratic Party on purpose and turn them into a right-wing organization, which unfortunately it largely is when you look at Democratic leadership. So Shontel Brown, again, a great story broken by The Intercept. Ryan Grimm, as always, doing an incredible job there. He's the Washington bureau chief of The Intercept. He's also a TYT contributor. And they showed that Shontel Brown on her website invited Democratic Majority for Israel to give her money. Now, you're not supposed to do that, okay? There's this thing called red boxing. I don't want to get into the whole long explanation, but that is how corrupt candidates invite independent expenditures to come help them. And those are, in this case, giant lobbyists. And so what did Shontel Brown do in return? She promised publicly that she would never attach conditions to aid to Israel. What a bizarre promise from a potentially United States legislator. I will never question the government of another country. I will unconditionally give them billions of dollars of aid without ever asking a question. Well, that's what corruption looks like. That's exactly what corruption looks like, okay? So, and again, that's just one of the set of lobbyists. And so, and people, I don't want people to get distracted by the fact that that country happens to be Israel, okay? There's so much money that gets funneled into Republican and Democratic Party politics from so many different countries, from so many different backgrounds. Center for American Progress, supposedly a left-wing think tank, and sometimes they put out good papers, but the majority of it is whitewashing corporate interests and foreign policy interests. They took tremendous money from United Arab Emirates. And then they did things that were in favor of United Arab Emirates. And that's how this corrupt system works. That's why we're trying to get Nina Turner into office. NinaTurner.com/hello if you're a progressive. But you don't have to be just, if you're a progressive, I'm giving you her information so you're aware of it, right? And you do whatever you like with it. If you're not a progressive, this race is still super important. And that's because either we're going to have a disruptor that challenges the corporate hegemony within the Democratic Party, or everybody's gonna go back to sleep. And look, I partly lived a race like this, but obviously Nina Turner is a much better candidate than I was. And I don't want to damn her with faint praise. It's a low bar to be better than me, apparently, in that field. But she's a much more important candidate. She's a better candidate. She's stronger, and they're all aware of that. But her opponent is very similar to the opponent that I had in California's 25th district. Christy Smith said, I'll do whatever Nancy Pelosi says. I'll do whatever Democratic leadership says. And Democratic leadership all endorsed her and said, good girl, do as you're told, okay? Now, Brown has said the same exact thing in Ohio's 11th district, and she campaigns on it. Her commercials are about it. All of her speeches have it. I will do whatever Democratic leadership says. I will be a good girl. I will not cause any trouble. I will do exactly as I'm told. If you're in Cleveland and Akron and you think that's someone who's gonna represent you, well, you're literally technically mistaken. She just told you she's not going to represent you. She's gonna represent Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. She brags about it. I will do whatever Joe Biden says. Well, Joe Biden doesn't live in the 11th district. What if Joe Biden says something that's against the interests of the 11th district? Which, by the way, he says all the time. He helped to kill $15 minimum wage. So I guess that means Brown says, oh, absolutely. You should have lower wages in my district because I work for Joe Biden and Joe Biden told me he doesn't want it. And Joe Manchin doesn't want it, and Kristen Sinema and Chris Coons and both Delaware senators, none of them want it. So I will do as I'm told. So even if you're not a progressive, this race is everything. Because are you gonna have an active Congress, or are you gonna have a Congress that's totally asleep and serving corrupt Democratic leadership over and over again. And by the way, again, if you're in the mainstream media and you just heard me say that Democratic leadership is corrupt, this is the moment when you can cry. Okay, go ahead, open up the tear ducts. Oh no, that's our beloved. Access. Those are our leaders that we asked for quotes, and then we print them down just as they told us to. And they're so powerful, we have to cuddle up next to them. Look, I had an interview with Dave Weigel. I don't know if we'll have time to discuss it. I hope we do. I thought it was so telling. It was from the Washington Post. It gives you an excellent sense of how mainstream media works, not because of Weigel's reporting, he's a rare, honest reporter, but because of the indications of Washington culture that he talked about in that interview. But mainstream media sells out for access and many other things, and so they love it when people like Brown and Smith. I mean, their names are literally Brown and Smith. They're the most generic candidates you've ever seen. Chantal Brown in this race, Christy Smith in California 25. When Brown and Smith say, we will do exactly as we were told, we are servants of Democratic leadership and their corrupt corporate donors, the media cheers like standing ovation. Where be? In my race, the LA Times said, we agree with Cenk on almost all the positions, but we think that he's too pugnacious. He fights too much. We prefer civility in Congress. That's a quote. We prefer civility in Congress. In other words, shut up and do as you're told. Mainstream media does not want to challenge the powerful. And so Daily Beast, Washington Post, many others, of course, have written terrible articles about Nina Turner on purpose. I think Daily Beast is again, life is complicated, it's filled with nuance. I can't stand the Daily Beast's political stance. But they do some good reporting on other issues sometimes, okay? Now, other people see the world as black and white, and they say, oh, if they tweet to me, I hate them forever, and I'll never tell you that they did anything positive, because they're obsessed with their ego. The reality is Daily Beast on some issues does terrific reporting. On political issues, they're maybe the worst media organization in the country. There's not a single race that I have seen where they have not viciously attacked a progressive in the race, and completely unfairly. I mean, hatchet job, unreal hatchet jobs. And the establishment can do no wrong, and they bow down to the establishment. And they did the same exact thing in this Nina Turner race. They attacked her for $1,000 that Nina took on at a place she used to work. And they ignored the millions of dollars in fossil fuel money, drug company money, every kind of corruption you could imagine, banker money that Brown has taken. Why? Because the Daily Beast isn't honest on political reporting. They just want to serve the powerful. It's the exact opposite of what media is supposed to do. So as you can see there in the corner, more local speakers, and now they're starting to file in behind them as we're going to get some of the national speakers, Cori Bush, Keith Ellison, Cornel West, and Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner are coming up. I feel like I'm missing one of the speakers, so I want to make sure I get it right. No, I got the major speakers. I wasn't missing anything. Okay, so you're going to see in this race who, with the direction of the country, the direction of Congress. Now we can talk a little bit later too about what if Nina gets in and she doesn't do what we're hoping for. Is that possible? Yeah, of course, people are human. Of course, it's possible. So I hope we get a chance to discuss that too. But I want to tell you about the speakers in a second. But first, let me go back to you guys and thank you for participating this morning. This Zoolander Establishment Dems writes in, hope your coffee's a little too strong this morning, Cenk. Well, why, yes, it is. Thank you for mentioning it. TooStrongCoffee.com/TYT. You guys are wonderful for letting me do those plugs. I appreciate it. Too Strong Coffee, by the way, gives money to progressive causes, including Justice Democrats, and Nina Turner is a Justice Democrat. So if you had Too Strong Coffee, you partly helped these candidates and the progressive infrastructure. They also give money to nonpartisan groups like Wolfpack, who want to get money out of politics, and they also have delicious coffee. And in order for TYT to get credit, by the way, you have to go to TooStrongCoffee.com/TYT, and obviously they're a sponsor of ours and they help home of progressives. They're unabashed about it. They're like, yes, we're progressive, and if you don't like it, take a walk without good coffee. All right, let's bring this up for a second. This is the head of Our Revolution.
That's more than just our motto. It's more than just our rallying cry. It is what we are called to do right now. We are called to organize to win and put Sister Nina Turner in the House on Tuesday. And you know what? The timing of this election couldn't be more auspicious for our movement. In August, in just a few days, we're going to be celebrating the 5th anniversary of our revolution. 5 years ago, in 2016, Bernie, Nina, and the rest of our founding fathers and mothers called us to go forth. They called us to organize and to transform the world as it is, with pain and suffering, into the world as it should be. And brothers and sisters, that is the mission that our people-powered movement has been carrying out faithfully. Over the last 5 years, we've elected over 700 progressive champions to school boards, to city councils, and to the United States Congress. When we organize, over the last 5 years, we've passed progressive policies in cities and states to expand housing, to expand health care, to raise wages, and reform our broken criminal justice system. When we organize, say it with me, when we organize. But brothers and sisters, even though we have won, our work is far from done. Look it, Democrats control both houses of Congress and the White House, but still the political elite refuses to deliver on Medicare for all, refuses to deliver on the Green New Deal, refuses to deliver for the striking Fight for 15 workers. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you? No, it's not. And that's why Nina's election is a must-win moment for our collective movement. By electing Nina Turner, we, the people, can raise up a prophetic voice for justice who will speak truth to a powerful political establishment that thinks that we will settle for crumbs. Nina knows that incrementalism is not enough. Nina knows that we, the people, demand transformational, sweeping change.
By the way, this is Joseph.
My brothers and sisters,
I'm so bad at pronouncing names, but he's the executive director of our revolution.
The past 5 years of our revolution, I want you to imagine what we together can accomplish in the next 5 years with Nina in Congress alongside Bernie Sanders. Imagine Medicare for all. Imagine a Green New Deal. Imagine a $15 minimum wage. Brothers and sisters, we have a real shot to build on our movement's momentum and defeat the elites who stand in the way of progress. But that means we got to organize right now. We got to organize today to create the tomorrow that we want. And that means we got to do the hard work of organizing. Martin Luther King said this: the supreme task, our highest calling, is to unite with others, to organize, and to be a transforming force in American political life. That means, brothers and sisters, we have to go forth after this rally. We have to mobilize every single voter on the phones, on the doors, and through text messaging. Are you with me? Brothers and sisters, I know this in my heart of hearts. There are more of us than there are of them. And if we organize, we win. If we organize, if we organize.
Please welcome to the stage Cleveland City Council member of Ward 6, Blaine Griffin.
When we organize, when we organize, when we organize. Hello, somebody. My name is Blaine Griffin. I'm the councilman for the Ward 6 area of the city of Cleveland, but y'all could just call me Griff. How y'all doing today? Man, y'all look so great today. The energy in here is amazing. Give yourself a round of applause. Listen, everybody, history has its eyes on us today. History has its eyes on us today. James Baldwin once said, to be black and conscious in America is to be in a constant rage. When you're a council person in a city of Cleveland that's dealing with crushing poverty, dealing with high infant mortality rates, dealing with lead exposure, dealing with the scourge of violence, dealing with housing disparities, dealing with educational disparities, you don't have the luxury of walking around talking about who I know and who I'm trying to be friends with. You got to fight for people every day. You're in the
That's a
constant
reference
rage
to
every
Brown
day.
getting endorsed by national figures.
You wake up angry when you fight for people every day. So I'm fighting for Senator Nina Turner because I want the angry black woman to go down there and represent me in Congress. Hello, somebody.
I love it. I love it.
Let me hear you up in the top, too. Everybody needs to go out here and fight like our life is dependent on it today.
Yes, it is. It is. Preach it.
Listen, everybody. Politics tends to divide us, but purpose tends to unite us. Today is a day for purpose. Put all that hate aside. Nobody care about that no more. Nobody care about those commercials. What's your purpose here today? Is your purpose to get Senator Nina Turner to be the next congressperson for the 11th district? Let me hear you. Hello, somebody.
I like this guy.
I supported Nina Turner because of her body of work. This is a woman who is prepared to lead, a woman who worked in a mayoral administration, a woman who was a Cleveland City Council person. And let me tell you something. When you're a Cleveland City Council person, don't nobody care what your ideology are. They want to know, is the trash going to get picked up and is the police going to come when I call them? Nina Turner served as director of engagement when she went down to the state senate. And she fought for educational reform. When she fought for educational reform, the graduation rate in the city of Cleveland was approximately 38 to 40%. Now, black males have a 75% graduation rate because policy.
That is a great example
Because of purpose and policy.
Taking
on systems, challenging folks, making us strong in the broke places. That's what Nina Turner stands for. Nina Turner is my friend. Nina Turner has earned the right to represent us because right now, everybody, history has its eyes on us. We need you to get energized. We need to go out here in the fight. Now listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm a Cleveland kid. You got to be tough when you're in Cleveland. Nobody cares if mean girls and boys say mad, nasty things about you. You better just get tough. Because in Cleveland, you got to be tough. You got to be tenacious. You got to bring it. So, yeah, I want the angry black woman, Nina Turner, to represent me with sharp elbows down there to tell everybody that she's going to speak truth to power. We got too many issues out here. We got too many things we got to fight for. Go get your relatives. Go get your friends. Go out there and talk to people. Make sure they know that it's an election on August the 30th. Make sure they vote for Senator Nina Turner to be our next congressperson for the 11th district. SNT, 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 SNT. As I close, I got to say this to you, and I got to tell y'all this story, and I'm done, and I promise I would tell you one of my favorite movies is The Hurricane. And they talk about Reuben Hurricane Carter. And he has one of the most powerful things that he says. He talks about to this young fella, and this young fella said, why they hating on you? Why they doing all these things to you? And you so smart, and you so intelligent, and you're doing all these great things. And Reuben Carter said something, if y'all haven't seen the movie, please watch it. He said something so powerful. He said, hate got us in this position, but love is going to break us out. Nina Turner loves this community. If you love this community, love is going to break out hate in this thing. Love is going to take Nina Turner to be the 11th district congressperson. Love is going to make you get people to the polls. We're going to do this because history has its eyes on us. Thank you. Big Griff signing out, baby. Let's go.
All right. We dip into these local speeches every once in a while to see how they are. That one was good. Okay. And by the way, as we watch this, we're looking for, hey, are they going to fight for progressive positions? And you know, what's the record of Nina Turner, et cetera, et cetera. The media is right now watching for any negative thing that can be that could describe this rally. That's the difference between liars and people who are honest. All right, let's go to this.
Turner, because not only is she going to do the right thing when she's in Congress, she's going to get there the right way with a people-powered movement that makes her accountable to us, not deep pockets in Washington, D.C. Now, what that means is she's not going to owe them anything, and that scares them to death. That's why they're pouring millions of dollars into this race. They're trying to buy somebody who's going to work for them. But that's not Senator Turner, because she's going to work for us. She's going to go there. She's going to go there, and she's going to have, as she said time and time again, she's going to have the courage to ask for more for us. They tell us, though, that asking for more is too radical. I'll tell you, though.
All right.
I've been around long enough to see that.
Let me
when they call
make
a
some
progressive
comments
a
here.
radical.
So let's turn it down a little bit, guys. So look,
20 years ago, you were radical if you didn't support the Iraq War. You were radical if you supported marriage equality. Only radicals said that the war on drugs was a failure. Today, though, those ideas are all mainstream, and that's great. It took them decades to figure it out. And 20 years from now, they'll all agree with Senator Turner. But here's the problem.
Okay, so
about everything have been in power for so long.
the last speaker gave a great speech and gave an example of practical politics that Nina Turner engaged in that actually got graduation rates to be much, much higher in the Cleveland area. And he talked about how they're going to fight with love, and you need to go vote with love. But he said, you know, sometimes you need somebody to fight for you, and so I'm glad that there's going to be an angry black woman that goes to fight for us in this community, right? So when we watch for that, we see it in its entirety, right? And we get that Nina Turner is a fighter, and that's why we like her. And we get that she's doing it out of love because she wants people to have higher wages, better health care, et cetera. The mainstream media is not looking for any of that. And I know this through dozens of examples, but including one in this race. So TYT held a town hall where Killer Mike and I hosted, and Nina Turner was the subject, and we interviewed her in that town hall. It was an incredibly positive town hall with tons of stories about the practical things that Nina Turner believes in, but also ideology. There's 1,000 things that you could have talked about in that town hall, but the mainstream media only looked for one thing, what was negative. And they took a tiny snippet of Killer Mike half criticizing Jim Clyburn, and that's all they mentioned. And so far, that is the only thing that's come out of that town hall, is the mainstream media trying to attack Nina Turner because of what Killer Mike said. So when they are watching this rally, they will not be watching it like you. They'll be watching for only negative things. And so when they see that councilperson in Cleveland talking, they will probably take the angry black woman comment and run headlines based on that, because they do hatchet jobs. They don't really care what's true. They're trying to help the status quo and the establishment. All right, let's dip back into this local speaker.
As you can see, there are a lot of us at the State House that are in support of Senator Nina Turner becoming the next Congresswoman of Congressional District 11. But the most important thing with all of this, I'm gonna tell you my story, how I met her and why I'm supporting her. I met Senator Turner when she was just my councilwoman. She used to have her third Thursday meetings that actually meant the world to me. And I just recently had the opportunity to tell her that when I first moved back to Cleveland after college, she used to have them, and that was like the place to be if you were young and you wanted to be involved in politics, and she had them on a regular. And that meant so much, because that gave us an opportunity to have our person in city council to listen to us when it comes to our concerns. The same effort that she made herself available at the Harvard Community Service Center every third Thursday, I know she's going to do the same thing for us when she goes to Congress. When we look at this race, who's been fighting for Fight for 15? Who's been fighting for Medicare for all? Who's been fighting for environmental justice? Who's been fighting for fair housing? It's been Senator Nina Turner. This is not something she's new to doing. This is not something she just started doing. This fight has been real. So somebody asked me, why are you endorsing Nina Turner? I'm just give you some basic stuff. In this race, we don't just need an ally. We need an advocate. And there's a difference between an ally and an advocate. An ally is just somebody who's going to go vote. But an advocate is somebody who's going to go fight. Because in this congressional district, the average income is $32,000. So we have to fight for people to have better wage for living. We have to fight for that. And Senator Turner has been fighting for that all over the United States. And now she's bringing it home because she's fighting for us.
That was great. She's really good. Ally versus advocate was amazing.
We don't need anyone coming to our district who's telling us what we need. We as the people know what we need. We know we need to increase the minimum wage. We know we need better housing. We know what we need. And Senator Turner is going to fight for us in Congress to go get that. So if you are not here to fight for us, then you don't need to be in our congressional district. You need to leave and go home.
There you go.
We're going to do real quick, because then I'm going to be respectful of the time. If this is your first time ever canvassing, ever, raise your hand. Thank you. If you had to wear your T-shirt 2 times for Nina Turner because you had to go out and go canvass, raise your hand. Okay, maybe that's just me. Okay, I got somebody in the back. Maybe that's just me. I'm putting my, okay. If you have done some phone banking for Nina Turner, raise your hand. If you've made a donation to Nina Turner, raise your hand. If you believe that Nina Turner needs to be our next Congresswoman for Ohio Congressional District 11, raise your hand. My name is Juanita Brent, State Representative for Ohio House District 12, and I endorse Nina Turner for Congress. Thank you.
Juanita Brent with an excellent speech. Let's hear who's going to come up next.
Please welcome to the stage State Senator Kenny Bowe.
These are
good
all
afternoon, everybody.
endorsers of Nina
I'm
Turner.
Senator Kenny Uygur. I'm the Senate Minority Leader for the state of Ohio, and I got to follow the footsteps of Senator Nina Turner. Now, I didn't wear the same footwear she wore, but I'm bringing the same passion, hopefully, that she brought when she was our senator. You know, I want to thank Senator Bernie Sanders, too, for all of his support for Nina. You know how important that is. Now, I wasn't always in government. I wasn't always a state representative or a state senator. I used to be a union organizer. And my office was right across the street at Laborers Local 860, 4220 Prospect. And I organized out of that building. I organized in the park across the street. And I'm organizing throughout the state of Ohio for Nina Turner today.
I like this guy. I used to be a union organizer from Cleveland across the street.
What do we fight for? We fought for better wages, better health care, pensions, non-discrimination, and a safe place to work. We wanted to guarantee that every woman and man who went to work came home to their families at the end of the day. You know, I'm sounding an awful lot like Senator Nina Turner, aren't I? When we talked about the attacks on workers' rights and their families by our elected officials, I knew that I couldn't stand by the sidelines. I knew I had to step up to the game, and I'm still sounding like Senator Nina Turner. So I ran for state representative. Next thing I knew, we were facing a workers' pandemic. I hope all of you can remember Senate Bill 5, because I'll never forget it. Neither will Senator Nina Turner. It attacked our unions, it attacked our workers, and it attacked our families throughout the entire state of Ohio. And on the other side was big money, big ugly money that was threatening our rights. People like the Koch brothers. Guess what? Here I am still sounding like Senator Nina Turner. But fortunately for me, my union sisters and brothers, we had an ally in the Ohio Senate who rose to the occasion with her powerful voice, and together we sent a very strong message. Hell no! And together we took that message all over Ohio, and we won. That's what Senator Nina Turner does best. Whether it's civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, voting rights, the rights of those in the LGBTQ community, you can count on Senator Nina Turner to be in your corner. And we also need to count on her to be in our Congress. By the way, it was my honor to follow her as a state senator. It's truly my honor to give her my endorsement. And it's my honor to thank all of you to be here to support my friend, my sister from another mister, the person we all love. God bless her. Senator Nina Turner, thank you for your support, and God bless you.
I like these Cleveland legislators, man. They're all on fire. So Brown's main claim to fame is, I have fancy people endorsing me. Oh, I'm the official Democratic candidate. No, you're not. There's no official Democratic candidate. Nina Turner is leading, and she has tons and tons of local endorsers like these folks.
It is such an honor to be here with you all today. My name is Celina Pagan, y yo soy boricua, para que tú lo sepas. I'm safe up here, and I'm vaccinated, just in case. I was born and raised in the city of Cleveland, and I am a proud daughter of Puerto Rican parents that call this city home. I am so grateful to be with you here today, and I am so excited to send Nina Turner to Congress.
You know, I always look at it.
We really need someone with a backbone
here,
of Congress.
and one of the hats I'm wearing here is looking about how Brown and her friends in media are going to misrepresent this. They might do a full-on Republican attack on this one, like, oh, she brought out a Puerto Rican flag. Okay, that's not very American of her. Puerto Rico is within America. Okay, so I did, like, again, if they're mainstream media, they are not looking for anything positive. They're only looking for negative things. So God knows how they're going to spin this. But let's go back to her.
There's a saying in Spanish that says, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. And Nina, I see you. We see you.
That's exactly right.
To everyone out there doubting the power of your vote, that's what they want us to believe. But we know what's up. We know that the power behind every vote, and we need to start at home. Check in on your circle, check in on your family and friends, and make sure they're registered to vote, know where to vote and when to vote. And know that on August 3rd, we're voting for Nina Turner. In the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we need leaders not in love with money, not in love with justice, not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity. I know that Senator Nina Turner leads with love. And to all the Latinos, Latinas, Latinx people across Northeast Ohio, nuestra comunidad tiene el poder. We are a sleeping giant. And that's why I'm asking the Latinos of Northeast Ohio to go out on Tuesday, August 3rd, and send nuestra querida Nina to Congress. And that's it, people. Pa'lante con Nina.
All right. Coming up, Cori Bush, Keith Ellison, Cornel West, Bernie Sanders, and of course, the Nina Turner. When they chant SNT, that's Senator Nina Turner. That's what the initials stand for. I like to say TNT, the Nina Turner.
Hi all, my name is Parinita Singh. I'm a resident of Akron, Ohio, and I've been a part of this campaign since the very beginning when they first had their canvas launch back in April. I am also a daughter of immigrant Indian parents. My parents moved to the States with the dream to make sure that my sister and I had a better future, the American dream. And being an immigrant comes with its own set of struggles. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. We did as much as we could to save money. My parents worked $7 an hour mediocre jobs just so they could provide for us. When it came to college, my parents couldn't afford to pay for us, so my sister and I had to get student loans. We didn't go to doctors or dentists because we were afraid of how much it would cost after. This is a sad reality for a lot of Ohioans to this day, regardless of your immigration status. Status and race divide us from opportunities. Housing and health doesn't help anybody. There is a lack of housing for a lot of people. There's a lack of health care for a lot of people. Student loans just come back to haunt all of us. So, a lot of people that are close to me know that because of my immigration status, I cannot vote. However, that doesn't stop me from showing up. I show up with my boots on the ground. I've knocked hundreds of doors. I've talked to hundreds of people. And talking to those people told me that Ohio's 11th congressional district needs a champion. And that champion is Nina Turner. So I need all of you to go out there. If you live in the district, go out and vote. Make sure you tell your neighbors to vote. And if you don't live in the district, get out. Knock on some doors. Knock until your shoes wear off, because we need to make sure that Nina gets into Congress. This is not a moment, but a movement. So let's keep this movement going. We do not stop here. There's 3 days until Election Day. Let's keep on going and give Ohio what it needs. Nina Turner.
So I have enough money. We would wait, since my uncle was a dentist in Turkey, he'd treat us for free, and it was too expensive in America. So we would wait till we went back to Turkey to take care of all of our teeth. And so it's hard out there. And so she's doing all she can. I want to tell you a little bit about Cori Bush, who's coming up in a second. She was fighting to continue the moratorium on evictions. Unfortunately, it's going to lapse on Sunday. She slept outside the Capitol last night to make a point, and then flew in for this rally for Nina Turner. So Cori Bush has been fighting her ass off on so many different issues, including that one. AOC and her made a huge stand on the eviction issue. Unfortunately, of course, as usual, the establishment won. But the Republicans pushing to end the moratorium, and the Democrats, as usual, going along and pretending there was nothing they can do when in fact they were in charge. So that's the reality. Let's listen in again.
Good afternoon. And how are you? Good. You know, I first met Nina Turner when I was in council in around mid-90s, and she was the liaison from Mayor White's office to City Council. And those of you who understood what was going on at that time, that wasn't necessarily an easy job, but she handled it. And then later on, I became mayor, and she was a council person in Cleveland City Council, and we worked together on many things to get things done for people. And then she became state senator, and I was mayor, and we were looking to do school reform and police reform. And she worked with me, and when there was a Republican governor, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate, but she got the things done. So those few examples, that's just a few examples will tell you why her experience and her ability to get something done in adverse circumstances qualifies her to be the best candidate. But what really makes Nina Turner the best candidate is her core. Because in this business, trouble's gonna come. Trouble's gonna come in many different ways, many different forms, and from where you don't expect it to come. And not only that, the power of the system will put enormous pressure on you to make you do what it wants you to do. And if you ain't about nothing, if you don't stand for nothing, then you'll cave. Nina Turner is about something, and she stands for something, and that's
enormously true. Not just about Nina Turner, but what he said about politics.
She is about, and she stands for you, the people. Thank you very much.
So again, guys, Brown is claiming that she has more Democratic endorsements, but here are people ranging from city council to state senate, state rep, and mayor of Cleveland that are all backing Nina Turner, putting a lie to the idea that she doesn't have local support. She has tremendous local support. It's a propaganda.
Who loves Nina?
Attorney General Russo.
Woo, boy, is it ever wonderful to see all of you guys. It is an exciting moment for America right now because we are on the verge of electing one of the greatest progressives that this country has ever seen. And let me tell you something. I know because I spent 12 years in the United States Congress, and when you send Nina to Congress, just in a few days from now, she is going to change that place. And I just want you to know, I'm so proud of you. Nina is, of course, an awesome person in her own right, but she understands the power of us. She understands the power of us, and she's gonna go there, and she's gonna be there with AOC, and she's gonna be there with Bernie Sanders, and she's gonna be there with all of you, and we're all going there with her, and we are going to change this country because we deserve to be able to go to the doctor. How about some Medicare for all? Anybody for that?
Keith Ellison was one of the most progressive congresspeople.
We deserve a Green New Deal, let me tell you. We deserve to cancel student debt, absolutely. And we deserve somebody who has the guts and who has the vision, who has the courage to stand up and demand it on our behalf, absolutely. And I also want to tell you that there are things that Nina will have to face in Congress that you and I don't even know about yet. But because she has been consistent in her courage and in her advocacy for us, we know that no matter what she encounters, she's going to do the right thing because she has done the right thing. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you this. It is a very bad idea to say we just want somebody who's going to do whatever the president says. It's not a good idea. Even if you love the president, and I'm not here to criticize the president, but even if you agree with what they're doing, you want somebody who represents the people of the 11th District of Ohio. You don't want somebody who is going to say, yes, sir, boss, to who's in the White House. You want somebody who's going to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, us, to the people of the 11th District of Ohio. It is
exactly
not
what I
the
said when we
job
started
of the member of Congress to be servile loyal and obedient to the White House. It is the job to obey the needs of the people of this district right here. And I just want to tell you, when you elect Nina, you're going to get something that's really, 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 really awesome. And I'm going to stay with me because I'm going somewhere. She is not just going to win this election and say, well, I'm in, and y'all, I'll be just chilling out here for the next few years. She's going to be campaigning after she wins and after she wins and after she wins, so that Ohio, who basically has one statewide Dem, is after Nina gets in, is going to drive up turnout in the 11th, which is going to drive up turnout in the whole state of Ohio, which means that you're going to see a rebirth of progressive Dems taking statewide office in the state of Ohio. I'm telling you, if you will turn out the vote in Cleveland, you will win all over the state, but you can't do it with a minimalist, just do enough to get by, just take orders from the boss above. You can't do it that way. You've got to have somebody who campaigns and reaches out, not only to win an election, but to invite people to the democratic process. And that, my friends, is a 365-day-a-year process. That is every day. That is something where you're campaigning not just to win, you're campaigning because everybody has a right to be listened to have their voice heard. That's what it's really all about. And Nina Turner is a listener. That is one of the most important things about her, y'all. She is a listener and she is a carer. She cares about you. She literally loves you. And I know in campaigns we don't talk about love that much because we're supposed to be all, tough or whatever. But the truth is, I don't trust any politician who does not love the people. And Nina loves you. She cares about you, and she's going to fight for you. Now, look, I got to wrap it up right here, but I just want to say to you, between now and close of the polls on Tuesday, you have the ability to get one more person and then invite them to this democratic process. You have the opportunity. Has anybody in this room, raise your hand if you've ever had the unmitigated pleasure of taking somebody to vote for the very first time? How does it feel? How does it feel? It feels good. It feels good. Maybe that person has just gotten off probation or parole. Maybe that person is a brand new citizen. Maybe that person just turned 18, or maybe they just have never had enough confidence in this system to vote before. But when you bring somebody into this thing, it makes you feel good. And I want all of y'all to feel good, really good. So between now and the end of when polls close on Tuesday, we need everything that you got. I know some of y'all I got little kids. 5-year-olds know how to work the microwave. I know y'all what? No. Let me tell you, 7, 10, and 12-year-olds can look after, actually the 12-year-olds, we need them to help on the campaign. But you bring your kids together and get somebody to look after them all together. What about that? But we need y'all to give everything you got to turn out the vote in the 11th District of Ohio. The very fate of the nation really does depend upon it. I am not pumping it up. It is absolutely true. Elections make a difference. If they did not elect me, I might not have been in a position to lead the prosecution of Derek Chauvin. But because I was elected, I was in a position to do service. I am telling you, electing Nina Turner will bring great benefits to not only this district, but to this whole country. And to that, I say, let's get out there and get every single person we can to vote on or before Tuesday. Bless you all. Let's go get it done.
Keith Ellison was the first Muslim member of Congress ever in the United States of America. He's a historic figure. He was a really important progressive in Congress for a dozen years. And then he was vice chair of the DNC. He nearly won the DNC chair. It's a long story, but everything he said was right. Let's go to Dr. Cornel West.
Congressional 11th District, are you ready to make history? Are you ready to hit the ground and hit the polls and be a force for good to turn this nation around in such a way that we can have a vision for everyday people being empowered. I don't care what color, I don't care what gender, I don't care what sexual orientation. This is about morality. This is about spirituality. This is about integrity. This is about generosity. This is about courage. This is about vision. Who's willing to serve everyday people?
Preach it, Brother West. Preach it, Brother Cornel.
Nina Turner. And let us not be deceived. This is a campaign of profound love.
That's the third speaker to
Justice is what love looks like in public, just like tenderness is what love feels like in private. And Nina Turner is a great wave in an ocean. She comes from a black people who have been chronically hated for 400 years, but exemplifies levels of love that make her a love warrior. She comes from a black folk who've been terrorized for 400 years, yet she still exemplifies freedom for everybody. Oh, she comes from a people for 400 years that's been traumatized. And yet, she's a wounded healer. Yes, she's a joy spreader. Have you seen the smile on her face and the sparkle in her soul? That's Nina Simone. That's Gerald Levert. That's Aretha Franklin. That's Donny Hathaway. That's James Brown. That's Louis Armstrong. That's Mahalia Jackson. That's Fannie Lou Hamer. That's Ella Baker. That's her mama. That's her grandmama. That's who Nina Turner is. She represents the best of love, of freedom, of wounded healing, of joy spreading. And that is a moral and a spiritual achievement. That's not just about politics. And that's why we can say to some of our brothers and sisters who are part of the corporate wing of the Democratic Party with their milquetoast neoliberalism, we say we want vision, integrity. We want to focus on the least of these, the poor, the working class, everyday people. That's who Nina Turner is. Are you ready, Cleveland? Are you ready, Akron? Let us march. Let us march. Let us march.
And he just marches off. And he marches off. And he's done. Brother Cornel West. Wait, is he done? How was that for a speech? Spit and fire, definition of it. Wow. Okay. Look, I don't agree with everything Cornel West says, but when I agree with him, boy, do I agree with him. And on Nina Turner, we agree 100%. And whenever Cornel West does get to a position I don't agree with, it's because he's so passionate, and it's okay. And he's proven himself incredible leader of our times. And so we've got 3 speakers left, although they have to do a musical interlude here because you cannot follow Dr. Cornel West. That's just not fair. So Cori Bush, who I told you slept right outside the Capitol to protest people who are going to be evicted because the eviction moratorium is ending tomorrow. She slept outside the Capitol last night, then got on a plane and got to this rally in Cleveland in time. We presume we're about to see her, and so look. On the $15 minimum wage, I I disagreed with some progressives in Congress, including some folks that are going to be on the stage today, like Bernie Sanders, and AOC came in and helped earlier, et cetera. But that doesn't mean that you write them off forever. That doesn't mean you're not fair to folks. You got to call them out when people don't do the right thing, and you got to give them credit when they do the right thing. Cori Bush has fought on so many issues in so many wonderful ways. And by the way, if they then, because you criticize them on one issue and they, I only mention this because somebody else, another host today, said, "Oh, Bernie Sanders wouldn't accept to do an interview with him," and apparently that host caught feelings over it, right? On the one hand, I understand. On the other hand, welcome to the big city, brother. Okay, and so that's how it works. And if they don't come on your show, who cares? Be honest anyway. It isn't about you. It isn't about access. If it's about access journalism, then you're no better than the mainstream media. There's another host who's obsessed with access, and he will support any candidate, whether they're left wing or right wing, if they come on his show. And if they don't come on his show, he'll turn on any candidate. That is not how you do honest journalism. That is not how you're an honest progressive. So give them credit on things they're right on and critique them on things they're wrong on. And Cori Bush has been so wonderfully right on so many issues. And by the way, you don't know her stance on $15 minimum wage. I just wish they'd block that bill to get it in. They couldn't, but you don't know what efforts were put behind the scenes either. I do know some of those, and I have shared some of those with you guys. And there, Bernie Sanders had to be pushed, nudged, however you want to say it, to put that amendment forward so we could find out who the 8 Democratic senators were that were opposed to $15 minimum wage. But he did. He did do the right thing at the end. I don't give a damn whose show he goes on or doesn't go on. What does he do when it counts? Well, he's doing it right now. He's about to speak for Nina Turner. And this counts more than anything else. You get Nina Turner into Congress, as you can tell from all these speakers, you're gonna get a fighter, you're gonna get, as Juanita Brandt put it, a local legislator in the Cleveland area. She said, you're not just gonna get an ally, you're gonna get an advocate. And an advocate fights for you. Now, the mainstream media hates the word fight. They hate it because they would upset the status quo, right? And so, but we want the status quo upset because the status quo is that has minimum wages $7.25. By the way, in Ohio, it's still $7.25. We've changed it in other places like Florida, California, New York, et cetera, but it is not changed in Ohio. Minimum wage there is disastrous, okay? The status quo has 45,000 people a year dying because they don't have healthcare insurance. That it might be wonderful to the people in the media, it might be wonderful to establishment Democrats, might be wonderful to Republicans, but it ain't wonderful to us. So I know everybody in the media says, just shut up, sit down, listen to whatever Democratic leadership says, and do not ever fight for your constituents, do not ever fight for your voters. Well, they're wrong. Well, they're not wrong for their position. They want to protect the powerful. And if you want to protect the powerful, you do not want any fighters. Turner. But if you care about actually getting those issues passed, and honestly, that's the only thing that matters, then you want the status quo overturned. You want a fighter who's gonna fight against the horrible status quo that we have right now. So if you're a reporter out there cheerleading for the status quo, by the way, you're not really a reporter. You're just a stenographer for the powerful, and it's sick. So, and that is not what Nina Turner stands for. She stands for making things better. And guys, if it turns out, as I told you earlier, I was gonna just mention this. If it turns out Nina Turner gets into Congress and she does not fight for you, you know who's gonna call her out? Me. And I don't care how upset she gets, or if she comes on the show or doesn't call her out, come on the show, I don't care. I believe with all my heart that Nina Turner is going to get those bills, help to get those bills passed so that it makes a difference in your life, That's the only thing that matters, and that's why passing the bills matter. But if she's not there and we don't have a fighter as strong as her, I'm not sure there's gonna be enough of a fight to get those bills passed. NinaTurner.com/hello. And I don't know if Cori Bush's mate, Bernie Sanders, is up.
Whoa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here to make certain that the next Congresswoman from the 11th Ohio District is Nina Turner. Now, I'm here in Ohio today for a number of reasons. I would have come because Nina is a close personal friend of mine and somebody I admire. That's a reason to be here. I would be here because Nina is one of the smartest and hardest working people that I know. And that's a good reason to be here. But the real reason I am here, and I speak as chairperson of the Senate Budget Committee, the real reason I'm here is we desperately need her in the U.S. Congress. Now, I know that in my state of Vermont and here in Ohio, there are a lot of people who have lost faith in government. They're working longer hours for low wages. They can't afford child care, can't afford health care, can't afford to send their kids to college, can't get a vacation, paying half of their income for housing if they're lucky enough to find decent housing. And they are saying, hey, does the government in Washington worry about anybody other than the billionaires? And they're looking around and they're seeing the very, very rich getting richer. And some of them now, they don't even have to worry about what goes on Earth. They're off and out of space. But Nina Turner and you and I, we do have to worry about what's going on in Vermont, in Cleveland, and on Earth. We have to worry that children in this country are going hungry. We have to worry that 90 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. We have to worry that our young people can't afford college or are leaving school deeply in debt. Now, I know that in the midst of all of that cynicism, people say, well, what difference does it make? Who cares if Nina wins or not? Let me tell you what difference it makes. Let me tell you what policy is about. For years, and I and Nina and Keith Ellison and Cornel West and others, we've been all over this country talking to 10,000 people, 20,000 people. And we have demanded and fought for a government that works for all, not just a few. And all over this country, people are beginning to stand up. They say, wait a minute. I'm working for $10, $12 an hour, and billionaires don't pay anything in federal income taxes. That ain't right. I see people sleeping out on the streets and large profitable corporations shut down in America and they're moving abroad. And that ain't right. And so as a result of the work of Nina and Keith and Cornel and you and millions of Americans, we have started asking questions that this country has never asked in a very long time.
Ask it.
And the result of that is we are transforming politics in this country and in Washington, D.C.
Transforming.
A few months ago, just as an example, and I want to talk to people who have kind of given up on politics. And I want to make the case that they should come out and vote for Nina. Just a few months ago, 5 o'clock in the morning, I think, we voted to pass the American Rescue Plan. Vice President had to come in and cast the deciding vote because we couldn't get one Republican in the Senate to support that legislation. This is what policy is about. As a result of that one bill passed by one vote at 5 o'clock in the morning, tens of millions of American families are receiving and have received checks of $300 per child. Nina Turner, for years, has paid attention to the disgrace of America having the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And do you know what that one piece of legislation did? One piece? It lowered childhood poverty in America by 61%.
It's a great case for politics and policy. If the Democrats had not won those Georgia seats, you would not have gotten that reduction in poverty.
When millions and millions of people lost their jobs through the pandemic, that legislation extended and expanded unemployment benefits. We added a $300 supplement on top of the normal unemployment. At a time when in my community and in Cleveland there were long lines of food, long lines of working people desperately in need of food, we put billions of dollars to make sure that Americans will not go hungry. And I mention that just to show you that policy matters. That the work that you have done, these things didn't happen by accident. We created a climate by which the president did the right thing, and we had a majority of Democrats in control over the House and Senate who were prepared to do the right thing.
They should have added $15 minimum wage to it, but a lot of the things in that bill were great.
But that is just the start. I need Nina Turner in Washington to make certain that not only do we pass a strong physical infrastructure bill, but that we pass an even more important human infrastructure bill. Nina Turner will fight alongside of me to make sure that this $300 child tax credit doesn't last for 1 year, but is made permanent. Nina will stand along with me to revolutionize the way we do child care and pre-K in America. We are fighting right now to have universal free pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds.
They are very unlikely to
make sure that no working family in America pays more than 7% of their income for child care. How's that?
Unfortunately, Joe Biden is against a lot of these proposals, although he's pretending to be in favor.
Nina Turner will stand with me and say that in the richest country on earth, we will not be the only major nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave.
Now, the Democrats all do believe that. Whether they fight for it is a different question. That's partly why you just
said. With me in saying that today we have got to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. But Nina knows that expanding Medicare is the right thing. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs is the right thing.
Biden could have done it already.
But that we have got to go further than that and join every other industrial country. Guarantee out, get all, do a Medicare for all, single payer program.
Yeah, we would love that.
Legislation we're working
President
on
Biden
would make community colleges tuition free. And you know what that means? Killer Mike and I were talking about this earlier because he's actively involved in this. Gives young people the training they need to go out and get the good jobs. And we got to do that. But Nina Turner and I understand that that's not enough. That we need to make all public colleges and universities tuition free.
Love it, but the Democratic Party does not.
And Nina Turner and I understand that in the midst of this massive income and wealth inequality, yeah, we are going to ask the rich to start paying their fair share of taxes.
The Democratic Party definitely does not agree with that. Joe Biden will protect the rich almost at any cost.
And I'll tell you something else that Nina Turner knows, because she's been all over this country. She's seen it with her own eyes. Despite what our Republican colleagues think, Nina Turner knows not only that climate change is real, but it's an existential threat to our country and the world.
If you had a couple hundred Nina Turners, then we'd have the Democratic Party, and they would actually believe all the things that they say and that Bernie's saying now.
Nina knows
but we'll start with one.
That we can create many millions of good-paying jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. Now, I know that Nina and my good friend Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was here last week. And Alexandria has been fighting hard, and we are going to bring this about with Nina's support for a civilian climate corps. We're going to put billions of dollars into that program, and what that means, and I say this to the young people, it will give the young people of this country the opportunity, getting decent pay, decent educational benefits, to roll their sleeves up and help save this planet. We need you. Now, to me, what is really remarkable about this particular election is the incredible amount of money that the powerful special interests of this country are spending trying to defeat Nina.
Preach it.
So I asked the people of Cleveland a very simple question. I want you to think about this. Why is it that the drug companies and the insurance companies and the fossil fuel industry and Wall Street and people who supported Donald Trump are pouring millions of dollars into this campaign to defeat Nina Turner? And the answer is pretty simple. They know that when she is elected, she is going to stand up and take them on in the fight for justice.
100% right. Inarguable. The most correct thing Bernie Sanders has said. Why do you think they're fighting her? Because she's going to take on the bankers, the oil companies, the drug companies, etc. And they know it.
Nina Turner also understands, and I suspect she understands it more today than ever before, that we need real campaign finance reform so that billionaires can't buy elections.
Thank God. Well, Bernie, you should have said that a lot more during your campaign, but I'll take it now. That is exactly right.
How disgraceful it is that these big money interests, they don't even have to disclose who they are, pouring in huge sums of money. Let me conclude by just saying this. You're looking at a guy who won his first election as mayor of Burlington, Vermont, by 10 votes.
It's true. After losing many elections.
After a recount. So I know about close elections. My suspicion is that here in the middle of the summer in Cleveland, the voter turnout is probably going to be fairly low, which means that every single vote
counts. We don't want to wake up on Wednesday morning and find out that Nina lost by 20 votes or 50 votes. So I'm here to just urge you that if you want somebody in Washington who throughout her entire life, and I know Nina well, and in the deepest part of her soul, believes in justice, believes in economic justice, racial justice, social justice, environmental justice.
Gee, I wonder why Nina group Justice Democrats.
Not going to be just another member of Congress, but somebody who has the guts to speak out on the important issues and fight for working people. I am here today to urge you to elect Nina Turner as your next member of Congress. Thank you all.
Beautiful sight. A beautiful, beautiful sight. We gotta win. Progressives gotta win this.
I have been to dozens and dozens of rallies all over this country with Nina, and it's always the case that she introduces me. And very often that's very difficult. I have to follow her speaking. That ain't easy. So today it is my distinct pleasure, wonderful pleasure, to introduce to you the next member of Congress, Nina Turner.
I almost applauded that. The song is "This Girl Is on Fire." Ain't that the God's truth? We gotta win here. Gotta win. NinaTurner.com/hello. NinaTurner.com. Go volunteer. Do whatever you gotta do. My God, if you live in 11 districts, this is the time to act. Do not listen to the doubters and the haters that tell you that we cannot win. We can win. Nina Turner's winning right now. You help put her over the top. You're a progressive. That's what you care about. Because, there it is. That's her grandson. Okay, you can't believe she's a grandmother. She is. Great. That's right. That's right. Now, you know, the media highlights her fighting as something negative. But who's she fighting for? She's fighting for those kids. She's fighting for the 11th district. She's fighting for a voter. Apparently, it's a little too loud for me. All right. And so Nina Turner's obviously it looks like maybe Bush didn't make it. She was set to speak here today. But, you know, she sat out, for a good political cause, she actually slept outside the Capitol last night to try to fight the eviction moratorium. And so she did not speak yet. And so Bernie Sanders, of course, is introducing Nina Turner. Let's get in Nina's comeback. Let's go to Nina.
Oh my God. You know, that's what happens when a 2-year-old runs your life. Hello, somebody. We were trying to wrap that all around him. It's an art, not a science. I definitely want to thank the senator so much, and I hear him crying, yah, back in the background. I want to thank the senator so very much. As he said, we've traveled this entire country, and this feels out of order for me because usually it is the other way around. And what great joy to have the senator introduce me, somebody who I have an immense deal of respect for. And as he said, we traveled all over this country to lift the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class. And I look forward to going to Congress to serve side by side. To my son, to my husband, to my grandchildren, to my dad who's somewhere out here, to my siblings, to my mother.
Her mother passed away from a health issue. So her mom passed away.
I just want to salute her for a minute. My mother died at the young age of 42 years old with her dreams deferred. Langston Hughes asked in one of his poems titled Mother to Son, what happens to a dream deferred? I want you to know, 11th Congressional District, the great state of Ohio, this nation and this world, that Sister Turner is running in this race to help guarantee that very few people have to ever ask the question, what happens to a dream deferred? So here we are together in solidarity, working for something greater than ourselves. I am grateful to be here with you. Some of you live down the street, round the corner, down the way. And some of you live thousands of miles away from here. In this moment, I am grateful for each and every one of you. To all of the members of the House of Labor, to all of the great organizations and the individuals that represent those organizations, to the volunteers, to people who have given of their time, their talent, and their treasure, I want to thank you for lifting this campaign in this moment. To Sister Martise Chisholm from the National Nurses United, to Dr. Victoria Dooley, who reminded us we must get vaccinated. Hello, somebody. I am grateful for Councilman Blaine Griffin for his words and his energy, and for Cleveland City Council members McCormick, Gray, and Cleveland that have backed our vision to center the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in this race. To my state reps, Brent, House, Robinson, Boyd, and Skindell, who have shown up for us in a major way, bringing the fire and reminding their constituents about who really cares for them. I am grateful to all of you. I'm grateful to Senators Yuko, Williams, and Antonio, who make up the entire Democratic senatorial delegation, for standing by my side. To my mayor, Frank G. Jackson, we have worked together on crises after crises to help our community, and I could not be more honored to have his support. I want to thank Attorney General Keith Ellison, America's Attorney General. And to the one and only Dr. Cornel West.
If you missed it earlier, you shouldn't have. He lit the place on fire.
Who is in this room today, to the great Senator C.J. Prentice. And let me pause to say thank you to my sister, Congresswoman Cori Bush. Who wanted to be here today, but instead has to sleep outside on the steps of the national Capitol because some folks would rather take a vacation than to handle the people's business.
They're going on vacation for 7 weeks in Congress.
I want to thank
7
her.
weeks.
And all the other Congress members and activists who are standing right there sleeping outside to stand up because a moratorium on evictions. People are going to be out on the streets unless we get that moratorium. And thank Congresswoman Cori Bush for leading the way. That is why she is in D.C.
Yeah, that's as we suspected. Yep.
And I cannot say, sisters and brothers and family and friends, I know a little bit about sleeping out on the sidewalk, because back in 2012, when we had the worst Secretary of State ever, was threatening our rights to vote here in Ohio, I slept out on the steps of the Board of Elections on 30th and Euclid. And thanks to my leader, Senator Eric Kearney, We did that all over the state of Ohio in solidarity. So we stand in solidarity with Congresswoman Cori Bush and all the other activists who understand that we must have the courage to ask for more. And I want to express special appreciation to my friend and the person who helped spark the new politics in America, as a person who showed that what they say is in fact possible. To the very person who sparked the 21st century version of the progressive movement. To the person who on the opposite side of what we usually have done for 2 presidential cycles. Someone who has for millions restored their faith in American democracy. Can we give it up one more time for Senator Bernard Sanders?
She's the only one who calls him Bernard Sanders, and I love it, and I'm here for it. Obviously helped him on both campaigns, was a huge part of it, and campaign co-chair in 2020. Nina was for Bernard.
I want you all to know that this campaign is not about personalities. This is about the people. And we have tried very, very hard. My team and I, can we shout out for Team Turner? We've tried very hard to center the people in this district. Too many of our people work too hard for too little pay. Too many of our people have no health care or inadequate health care. Too many of us have seen our jobs shipped overseas. Too many of us live in communities that are unbanked and underdeveloped and left behind. Too many of us live in fear of gun violence or police violence. Too many of our children need better schools, and too many college graduates have mountains of debt. Addressing these material conditions and the lifting people up so that they don't only not fall behind, but they actually get ahead. This is what this campaign is about. And as Congresswoman Barbara Jordan famously said, what the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And this campaign is about delivering on that promise.
That's a great line by Barbara Jordan.
If you, the voters of the 11th Congressional District, do me the honor and send me to Congress, I will wake up every day fighting to raise wages, including passing a $15 an hour minimum wage increase.
I think she might be able to single-handedly do that.
Let's ensure that women finally get their whole damn dollar. Hello, somebody. Hello.
This is why they don't like her, because she fights aggressively for things that are right.
Fighting to create Medicare for all so that health care is finally a right and not a privilege in the United States of America. I will wake up every day fighting for trade deals that work for the everyday people and not just the corporate elites. Hello, somebody. I will wake up every day fighting for investments of communities that have been left behind, whether they are black or white or Hispanic or Native American or Asian American or the swirls in between. No matter how people identify, I will wake up every morning fighting for you. Our LGBTQIA community, all of us. Every single marginalized community waking up every day to make sure that nobody gets left behind, and we are creating an America as good as its promise. And this agenda, this people-centered agenda, has some people very afraid. You have all seen the dishonest ads backed by millions from every big money special interest group in Washington, from big oil to big banks to big drug companies. And the question becomes what the senator asked when he was up here: why are they spending all of that money on little old me? I just want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. We just want to know. And I'm so glad you asked. They like the way things are now. They like it that so few people have so much and so many people have so little. They like a healthcare system that lets them pick our pockets or our pocketbooks and people can't get healthcare. They profit from a system of tax cuts for the rich. They do not want an America as good as is promised, and they are investing millions to ensure that our voices are silenced. Well, let me tell you something, 11th Congressional District. We're going to make sure that they understand that big money can't defeat big ideas and conscious-minded people. We're going to show them better than we can tell them. And what we are working towards is creating an America where every person can live in security and dignity. We have that America. We need to make sure that we have an America as good as His promise. That's it and that's all. And it's really not asking too much, sisters and brothers. We are the wealthiest country on the face of the earth. And so why can't we have Medicare for all? Why can't we have a Green New Deal? Why can't we cancel student debt? Why can't we have a legal system that does not see black men as somehow more criminal than anybody else? Why can't we have a legal system that treats black and brown and indigenous and poor and white people? Because if we are poor, baby, we are all in the same boat. Hello, somebody. This is about class and caste. And make no mistake, the big moneyed interests, the big powered interests, the corporate interests, they benefit from trying to keep us separated. But there is a song that says, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep the workaday people from each other. We will unite to create an America as good as His promise. So
that is such an important message. Unite everybody against the actual issue, which is the people up top.
Man.
They want to try to divide us on social issues.
When I think about
we have to unite on economic
that
issues.
Came out on the stage and my son, I do think about creating an America as good as His promise. And I'm not just doing that for mine. I want yours and 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 yours. We can't leave anybody out. All of us together. That's why I'm fighting. I want to close with a quote from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I want you guys to listen to this with your heart and not with your head. This is what this progressive movement, this freedom fighting movement is all about, because we are 21st century freedom fighters. See, there were fighters before us in the 20th century, in the 19th century, in the 18th century, in the 17th century. This is not new. There has always been people who were willing and courageous enough to go against the status quo. The status quo doesn't work. And we got to change it. So I want you to listen to this with me. He said these words: power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. I am running this race for love.
I love that quote. Appropriately enough.
I am fighting because of love. I want everybody to be able to live out their greatest greatness for love. So I am asking you, if you are a voter in this district, elect me to be the next congresswoman of this district. God bless you all. For love. Come on, Senator. I love you all.
Here comes Bernie Sanders off the top rope out of nowhere. He's got a chair. No, he doesn't have a chair. Does have a mask. All right, there you go. It felt like a second ago when it started. It's almost been 2 hours. So, all right, let's switch the boxes. Keep that up though, just in case. And I want to tell you a bunch of important things. Now, I want to summarize what happened, and then I'll tell you how different people are going to interpret what happened. But first, I want to give a shout out to the people that make this possible. These are folks that just joined Young Turks membership by hitting the join button below on YouTube. New World Global Community, Weldon Davis, Bonnie Verinci. Thank you guys. And I want to just give one quick shout out to Laith Kristen Merrow, who is very generous on YouTube Super Chat and says, "Go Nina, thank you for the coverage. Cenk, love to the TYT community. Love to all of you who watched." I'll get to more comments in a little bit, but first let me do the summary, okay? I think that they're doing a closing invocation. Let's just dip in for 1 second and listen to this, Asher.
For those who remain neutral during a time of moral and social crisis. And I come by to tell you I'm not going to hell and I'm not silent. Come on, it's movement time.
It's movement time.
Allow us to pray. Allow us to pray. We pray to the God of justice. For you, he's the God of peace. For you, he's that spiritual energy that creates creation and inspires all of us. We pray, but we pray for her strength and her health. We pray for her mind. Dear God, put a hedge around her to protect her. Give her strength to make it over the next 3 days. We know, oh Lord, that you have called her for such a time as this. We know, Lord, that she is the one that can carry us into the promised land. We pray for her, oh Lord, that when she gets weary, may she remember when she said, I must go to Washington. Despite the opposition, despite those would fight against her and work against her, she said, I must go to Washington. Oh Lord, may she remember that it was Jesus when he was going to Jerusalem. They were them that said, why go to Jerusalem? There are them that want to kill you. They want to hurt you. They want to harm you. But Jesus said, I must go to Jerusalem. May she remember Martin Luther King when he said, I must go to Memphis. There were those who said that they will kill you and it's not the right time and there are other things you need to fight for. But he said, I must go to Memphis. May she remember that she's going to Memphis for those that can't go for themselves. Oh God, may she remember, oh Lord, that she's going for them that are without power, without strength, that she is a voice of social change. Oh God, we know that you don't necessarily endorse candidates.
So it's a powerful prayer, and I appreciate the pastor giving this. But obviously the rally's over, and he's just doing a closing prayer here. But I'm glad we listened to it because there's two great parts of it. One, I like this God of justice that I'm hearing about. I hope he shows up on Tuesday. And by the way, you know, if you're in the 11th district, you can vote now. So the poll, early voting has begun, and obviously you could vote on Tuesday as well. And I like that he talked about Jesus had to go to Jerusalem. He had to, and Nina's got to go to Washington. By the way, before I summarize Nina's rally, let me just say that's why I ran, and obviously it didn't work out. but I thought somebody's got to go to Washington and speak truth, right? And do it without fear, and do it loud and do it proud. And so if I had known that Nina Turner was going to run, I probably would have never run in the first place, because you don't need me if you got Nina Turner. And so she is a giant. She is, she's the fighter we need. So let me summarize the event, okay? And as I do that, ninaturner.com/hello. And if you just go to ninaturner.com, you can figure out how to phone bank for her, no matter where you are. You can figure out how to volunteer. That's for the folks who want to volunteer, for the folks who want to help. If you don't, and you're watching this because either you're opposed to her because you think the status quo is great, well, I guess you got a good life, so bless your heart. It's a free country. If you're filled with hate, if you're in the right wing and you're worried about Nina Turner winning, great. Okay, I'm glad you're worried. If you're a nihilist on the left and you've become convinced by demagogues that you shouldn't vote and you shouldn't participate and you should attack the most powerful people on the left that are fighting for us, then I feel sorry for you. Whereas we still have hope, we still have faith, and there's no chance of success without hope. Okay, so today, we had a rally for Nina Turner. We covered it on the Young Turks. It was obviously in Cleveland, and it's in the 11th district of Ohio, where she's running for the congressional seat. Bernie Sanders introduced her, but we had great speakers, local speakers that did a wonderful job. I want to tell you a little bit about them in a second. Bernie Sanders was terrific, and then Keith Ellison spoke. He's a former United States Congressman, current Attorney General of Minnesota, and he said, "Look, elections matter. If I hadn't won, would we have been as aggressive in prosecuting Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd? We don't know." But since Keith Ellison, a very strong progressive, was the Attorney General of Minnesota, they very aggressively prosecuted and convicted Derek Chauvin. Voting matters. And Cornel West lit the place on fire with a great, amazing speech. And as I explained, look, I don't agree with everybody who speaks on every issue. Of course not, nobody does, right? But when Cornel West, in my opinion, goes too far, he goes too far because he cares and he's passionate and he's trying to do the right thing. And intent matters, okay? And when Bernie Sanders doesn't go far enough, when he's not as aggressive in calling out his colleagues, we do critique. But when he does the right things, like shows up for an ally and a sister in Nina Turner when she needs it most, we give credit where credit is due. When Cori Bush can't show up because she was busy sleeping outside in the streets in front of Capitol Hill to protest the evictions of real Americans, her voters and other voters who are going to be evicted because the moratorium is going to be lifted, you give her credit where credit is due for fighting with everything she's got, okay? So it is important to be honest about all these issues. And if you're being honest about the 11th district in Ohio, one of the candidates was picked out of a bag. They were all no names running against Nina Turner. There's about 13 of them. And in the beginning, no one had any idea who the establishment was gonna back because they all had very little experience. And the establishment decided they were gonna back this candidate, Brown. And they did not disperse their money based on, hey, who agrees with us more ideologically? And so some candidates will get this, other candidates will get that. No, they made a decision, a unified decision in this among establishment Democrats. They were going to oppose Nina Turner, and they had to pick one candidate to oppose her. And they decided, who cares who it is? Whoever is going to tell us that they will do everything we say, we'll pick them. And Brown raised her hand and said, yes, I will do whatever you want from me. If you're in Democratic leadership, if you're establishment Democrat, if you're a corporate lobbyist and you're going to give to my campaign, I will do anything for you. And by the way, that is quite literal, because Democratic Majority for Israel has spent a giant amount of money. That is a right-wing group that has infiltrated the Democratic Party. Democratic Party, for a lot of the leadership, they are thrilled to be infiltrated. They are thrilled to take that money and do whatever those lobbyists want. And now Nina Turner is not going to do that, so those lobbyists are not thrilled. Establishment Democrats are not thrilled about Nina Turner. And so they said, you will support Israel, no matter if their government is left wing, centrist, or right wing, and you will never question them. And Brown has publicly said, yes, sir, Absolutely, sir. She has said that she will never condition aid to Israel based on any policy or any condition on the ground or any situation in the region. She will give to Israel billions of dollars of your money, no matter what. By the way, giving to Israel is a perfectly defensible position. And I'm glad that we gave them Iron Dome and kept Israeli citizens safe and alive. And I'm thrilled about that. I wish that it would be equivalent for both sides. And I know in America, the idea of protecting Palestinian lives is unthinkable. So when I say, why don't we give Iron Dome to the Palestinians? Not just Republicans, but Democrats say, how dare you trying to protect the lives of Muslims? It's unbearable and unthinkable in America. Well, you're wrong. It is thinkable. And so Nina Turner has not said anything about Iron Dome, but she cares about Palestinians. She thinks that they're human beings. And so Democratic majority for Israel says she must be eliminated. So mainstream media, you can go ahead and cry and you can say, oh no, you're not allowed to criticize our lobbyist friends. Well, I don't give a damn that you're friends with them. I will criticize them. What they've done in this race is absolutely positively corrupt. And they're not the only ones. And don't focus on the background. That's got nothing to do with it. The most important color is the color of money. It's green, okay? ExxonMobil has entered this race. Comcast has entered this race. Drug companies have entered this race. Wall Street has entered this race. Guess where they've entered it? Every single one of them against Nina Turner. Brown has raised her hand and said, I will serve all of you. Give me the money and I will do whatever you say. Nina Turner says, I will not do whatever you say. I will do what the voters say. That is why the lobbyists and the corporations and the corrupt in Washington are united against Nina Turner. That is why progressives should support Nina Turner. And I'll say it again, do not listen to the nihilists. They're pretending to be on the left, fighting against progressive warriors like Nina Turner, telling you not to vote, not to get involved, to be skeptical and cynical of every progressive who's trying to help you. Don't listen to those demagogues. Nina Turner is gonna fight for you, and our chance of passing bills that affect your life to increase your wages and to get you health care is greatly increased if Nina Turner goes to Congress. If Brown goes to Congress, nothing's gonna change. You're gonna have the status quo and everybody's gonna cheerlead and everybody in the media is going to write a story about how wonderful it was that the progressives were defeated and there's no hope in this country and we will have corporate rule forever and the corporate media will cheer that. I had David Weigel from the Washington Post on the show just a couple of days ago. And we aired it just yesterday. And Weigel's an honest journalist, and he said yes, the culture in Washington among journalists is that the status quo is what is realistic and good and positive, and disruptors are looked upon with great skepticism because the corporate media, some of them know it, a lot of them don't even know it. They're useful, and you know how that phrase ends, because they repeat what the people in power want. They protect the powerful. That is why they are united against Nina Turner, because she protects you. She protects the powerless. Now, if you listen to the nihilists on the left who say, do not have hope, do not help someone who's trying to help you, you have been led astray by demagogues who are looking to profit off of hopelessness. I say yes to hope. I say yes to Nina Turner. I say yes to Justice Democrats that are gonna fight for you. And by the way, if they don't, on certain issues, do not shut off your mind and say, I'm never going to listen to anything that anyone says. You critique them when it is right and you give credit where credit is due. So we critiqued on $15 minimum wage. We pushed Bernie Sanders to introduce that amendment. And yes, we found out who the corrupt corporate 8 are in Congress, in Senate, who voted against $15 minimum wage while they pretend to be in favor of higher wages. Those are Democrats, not just Republicans. So you, if you're in the Young Turks audience fighting on that issue, made a difference. We now know who the bad guys are, and we will continue to put pressure on those bad guys. And yes, sometimes you have to put pressure on the good guys, like we did against Bernie Sanders on that issue. And now some are complaining that Bernie Sanders won't go on their show, et cetera. So what? So what? You're not supposed to do your show based on access and who's nice to the host. Who cares who's nice to the host? The question is who's nice to you and the voters. And the way they show that they are nice to the voters is by actually passing bills that affect your lives. In Ohio, in the 11th district right now, the minimum wage is $7.25. That is abhorrent. That is $15,080 if you work full time every single day, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week with no vacations for the entire year, $15,000. And people like corporate Democrats like Brown says, that's fantastic. I'm never gonna fight for minimum wage. If Joe Biden tells me to bow my head, I will bow my head. And right now, Joe Biden does tell them to bow their heads. Joe Biden sent the 2 Delaware senators to go vote against minimum wage. If the Young Turks audience had not fought for that, you would not have known that the Delaware senators sold you out. You would not have known that Joe Biden authorized that. Those Delaware senators are never gonna vote unless Joe Biden gives them permission to. Joe Biden told them, apparently, to vote against $15 minimum wage. We found that out because you put pressure on in the right times and in the right ways. Now, when Cori Bush turns around and fights for you so that you don't get evicted from your house as she sleeps outside the Capitol, then you give her credit. When AOC and Jamal Bowman and Mondaire Jones and Rashida Tlaib go out there and say, you know what, we are not going to vote for your so-called bipartisan infrastructure package if you do not vote for the actual infrastructure package that's $3.5 trillion and has portions of the Green New Deal and climate change inside of it. Well, then you give them credit for doing the right thing. And not only is Nina Turner going to join the forces that are voting in the right way and speaking in the right ways, that incredibly powerful speaker is going to have the most powerful mic in the country, and that is on the floor of the United States House of Representatives. But on top of that, on top of all of that, she's going to lead. Now, if I'm wrong about that, I'll be the first one to come out and admit it to you guys. And I will tell you, hey, listen, we hoped again and it didn't work out. And now we're gonna go for someone else, and we're gonna go for someone else after that, and we're gonna go for someone else after that until we find our fighter, until we find our leader. Now, I believe that is Nina Turner. I believe with all my heart, but also all my brain, based on experience, based on what she's done in the past, based on what she's done today. And that's why I think Nina Turner will make all the difference, okay? But if I'm wrong, we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna do it again until we have our fighter and we have our leader. So again, all of my experience leads me to believe that actually is Nina Turner. So when we fight, we win. It is not to vent. The mainstream media are fools. They're absolute, utter fools, and they're picked to be fools. They don't want you to fight. They want you to be quote unquote civil. Why? If you're civil, you're never gonna get any change. The status quo and the powerful are going to be incredibly comfortable. Incredibly comfortable. That's why the corporate media tells you, don't fight, be civil. Now, by the way, again, there's people on the right, the left that say that fight in insane ways. Go fight physically, the right wing says. Now, there's a new poll out, 47% of Republicans saying that they might have to take the law into their own hands. That's vigilante justice, that's calls for violence. 28% of Republicans say they should do flat out violence. Actual violence. That is not the right way to fight. January 6th is not the right way to fight. For the nihilists on the left, the alt left, and all those insane people who say, pick a random vote on a thing you know you can't win. You don't even have a plan to win. And then if they don't do the thing that you want, which makes no sense at all and has no strategy and no thought and no planning, and then go and viciously attack the progressives that are on your side because they didn't listen to your dumbass idea and say, they didn't come on my show. They didn't listen to my idea. This is all about me and my ego. So don't vote for them. Don't send them money. Don't help them. That person isn't for you. That person is a demagogue who's trying to destroy the progressive movement in this country. The people that are trying to build it up are people like Nina Turner. You got to go help them in every way that you can. If you can vote in the 11th district, by God, you gotta do it. You gotta convince family and friends to do it because hope matters and hope is real. If you're out there anywhere in the country, you can phone bank for her, ninaturner.com. And obviously so many of you have already given at ninaturner.com/hello. This race is everything. Without a leader, it is so hard to win. But if we have a leader, it can make all the difference. Look, I'm gonna give you one more example here. I gave Cori Bush credit for doing something amazing, sleeping out to show what eviction looks like, what homelessness looks like, and how we gotta fight it. But if I'm being honest with you, there is a slightly more effective way to have done that. And that is, and less painful, by the way, right? So Cori's going through a lot of pain, and you should give her credit for standing up for you and sharing that pain with you, okay? But the slightly more effective way would have been to say, the Democratic leadership isn't fighting for you. They're gonna let the eviction moratorium okay? And so why am I for Nina Turner? Because I think there's a chance that she's gonna go there and say, it's also Joe Biden. It's also Democratic leadership. Joe Biden didn't deliver for you on $15 minimum wage. He didn't deliver for you on student debt relief. He didn't deliver on taking marijuana off of Schedule 1. And I can go on and on. There's literally dozens of policies that Joe Biden said he was gonna do on the campaign trail. And then once he got in office said, as usual with Democratic establishment, no, I was just kidding. I'm not going to do it. And what did the media do? Uproarious applause. Oh, bravo, bravo, FDR 2.0. Way to do false promises, and we'll pretend that you are in favor of those false promises, and we will not tell people when you actually fight against those same promises. We can see with our own eyes. We saw the Delaware senators vote against minimum wage. Not one national media reporter pointed that out. So you've got the mainstream media who sells out for access and tells you that the powerful are great when they are not, when they actively lie about it. And then you've got the nihilists saying, no, they didn't come on my show, so I'm going to lie to you and tell you that they do everything wrong and you should attack them because they hurt my ego. Insanity, insanity. Guys, look, when I had my trouble with the group I started, Justice Democrat, did I betray them? And because they said something again, and something, by the way, awful about me? No, I said eyes on the prize. Go vote for them anyway. Go support them anyway. It wasn't the candidates, by the way, it was the staff at the time. Okay, and by the way, I then said the staff did a great job in finding the candidates and supporting the candidates. Why did I compliment the people who attacked me? Because on other issues, they were right. And if without them, we had no chance of ever winning and passing those bills. And now there are 10 Justice Democrats in Congress, and hopefully with Nina, an 11th on the way. Without them, we had no hope. With them, we have hope. Eyes on the prize. It isn't about me. It isn't about other hosts. It isn't about other politicians. It isn't about other people in the media. It's about you, NinaTurner.com. So the one thing I want to emphasize about this, I mean, I've emphasized a lot already, but Nina said something great in her speech. She says, this isn't about separating us, it's about uniting us. It's about class and caste, she said. It's absolutely right. So whether you're black, white, Latino, or anything else, they're trying to divide us. They're trying to divide us. We've got to unite on economic issues where we agree. It is, if you're looking for what caused your troubles and who rigged the system against you, do not look down, look up. That is what Nina Turner's saying. That is what Bernie Sanders is saying. That is what the Justice Democrats are saying, and they are right. And Nina emphasized throughout, we want an America that is as good as its promise. So is America great now? No. Is every legislator in Congress great now? No. But can we get them to be as great as their promise? Well, that's our job. We're supposed to push them in the right way, in the strategic way to get there. And we have, and on a lot of issues they have. And overall though, we've got a lot of work to do, especially with the Democratic Party, to have them live up to their promise and to be as good as their promise, and long way to go on that. If you notice, by the way, I keep it real for you guys, Nina and the other speakers, with the exception of Cornel West, they were 4, 5, 10 times more fiery than the average speaker, but they were about 20% less fiery than they normally are. I say the exception of Cornel West because he was nothing but fire, okay? But why were they less fiery? Because if they say anything slightly wrong, all the mainstream media will do is focus on, oh my God, they're not a good enough Democrat. Remember everybody, they're not going to be beholden to Democratic leadership. And they will paint that in their articles as if Nina Turner is right wing or Bernie Sanders is right wing, which is insanity, insanity. They are the definition of the left wing and they're the definition of the progressive movement, but the media lies to you on a regular basis. And to that point, the one thing that everybody emphasized throughout these speeches was love. We do this out of love. And that is love for the voters, love for the issues, love for things that are gonna make your lives better. If you got more wages, if you got childcare, you can actually give more to your family You can take care of your family. That's love. You got healthcare, you're gonna live. That's love. And it goes on and on. Is anybody in the media gonna focus on the theme of today's rally, which was love? I would be shocked. They almost never do. But I will give credit where credit is due on that. Cleveland Plain Dealer endorsed Nina Turner, and that makes a giant difference. So give credit to the local paper for doing the right thing, which is nearly unprecedented. But by the way, also credit to state representatives, state senators, council people, and the mayor of Cleveland, who all endorsed Nina Turner. Those are local representatives saying, for our community, Nina Turner is right. I don't care what the Democratic majority for Israel says, or ExxonMobil says, or Hillary Clinton says. No, Nina Turner is right for Cleveland and Akron in the 11th district, and they are absolutely right about that. So it was my pleasure covering this rally. I literally cannot think of any congressional race in my lifetime that is more important than this one. And the voting has already begun and will go through August 3rd. Obviously, on the night of August 3rd, the Young Turks will cover the election and tell you who won and who didn't. And Nina Turner will be on the show and to talk about it. Okay, so help or participate in any way that you're comfortable with, but do whatever you can to give us a little bit of hope that love can win, that justice can win, that progressives can win and can bring you that justice. I don't know anyone I've had more hope for than Nina Turner. So that is the reality, and our job is to report the reality, and that's what I'm reporting to you now. Okay, now we gotta go, but I told you guys that I would read your comments because you are part of this show. Without members, we can't do this show. We couldn't do any of it. And so any positive thing you see on the show, thank a member. They made it possible. Miss Pinky Seski just joined by hitting the join button below on YouTube. We thank you for that. I'm gonna go to our members first, as always, tyt.com/join or tyt.com/change to be one of those members. Hapless Harry says the only way this rally could have had more firepower would have Dr. Richie on the stage as well as bookending Dr. West. Yes, Rashad, our newest host, is amazing. Make sure you check out Indisputable. He brings the fire like Cornel West did today. Make you see the Silver Dragon said Chantel lied about who endorsed her. There is no question about who's endorsing Nina with today's fantastic lineup. It's true. Her Nina Turner's opponent Brown on several occasions lied about local politicians endorsing her. They came out and said, I don't know what the hell she was thinking. I never endorsed her. How dare she put my name on there? And some that had been neutral before said, oh yeah, now I endorse Nina Turner. Thank you for letting me know who's telling the truth and who isn't. Tina wrote in, I love that, Cenk. TNT, the Nina Turner. She's about to blow that corrupt AF Congress up. And then I want to go to a YouTube super chat. Brendan Golden says, thank you, Cenk, for the Saturday coverage. Let's get Nina past the finish line and kick Madam Applause sound bites out. LOL, #TYD, #hello somebody. And yes, Brown did a rally with about 7 people in it, and she had fake applause that she put through the loudspeakers, so it seemed like there was more people at the rally. She took Jeb Bush's please clap to a whole different level. She didn't wait for anybody to clap. She didn't wait for anybody to show up at her rally. Instead, she did fake applause. By the way, did it look like Nina needed fake applause today? And it looked like she needed fake applause, right? She had plenty of great applause. That's called real people power. Wendy S says, thank you for being the real deal, Cenk. I see you. Solidarity. Thank you, Wendy. I see you too, and I appreciate you. Sue Farr wrote in, go Nina, hello somebody, feel the burn, TYT Army, too strong. I love you all. We're all in this together and we will fight for each other. Damn right. We fight for each other. We win together and we pass those bills together and change your life together. And when people ask me, Cenk, what are you in it for? And this will be off the air and conversations I have with politicians and other people, right? I always say eye on the prize. You either pass the bills or you don't. Everything else is nonsense, okay? If you didn't pass the bills, you didn't change anybody's life but your own. So somebody becomes a congressperson and they get to have a nice big ego, who cares? If you didn't pass the bills, it was all about you. It wasn't about the voters and you didn't help anyone. If you were in the media or you're a host and you got more viewers, or you got more revenue, or you got more this or more that, or more glory, but we didn't pass the bills, who cares? Then you wasted your time and everybody else's time on your own glory and your own ego. Eyes on the prize, pass the damn bills. And so if we do that, whatever we do, we should do with that in mind. And you critique and you endorse and you help based on the situation, based on the facts, with your goal of passing the bills so we help you guys, the voters. So more from Twitch now. Sure as me, UB3RJIN all joined, and so did, I love this one, Gayest Scorpio. Thank you, Scorpio, for being who you are and being part of our family. Jim Giglotti just resubbed, been subscribed for 14 months and said, love TYT. Sarah Mac 97 says they've been subscribed for 9 months. And they say, thank you so much for informing us and keeping us sane. TYT has opened my eyes so much and inspired me to even consider a career change. Dragon Squad. Sarah, thank you. John thanks you, and he'll thank you with his purple hair soon enough. Dolores in the Darkness gave 100 bits, Carpo DB 200 bits, and Dragon Penny 500 bits. They're called bits, but they matter so much to us, and and every little bit helps. And whether you can volunteer, good enough. If you can give $1 to us, to Nina Turner, to whoever you think is helping, good enough. It doesn't have to be us, guys. It just has to be the people that you think are helping most. And so we thank you for allowing us to do this coverage today. We thank Nina for running. And as you can see with the vicious attacks that she has suffered through, especially if you live in her district and you're seeing those ads that are nonstop lying about her, whether they're ExxonMobil ads or Democratic Majority for Israel ads or Brown ads or ads backed by Hillary Clinton, lies on top of lies. Here, I'll give you one example of a lie. They are now pretending in mailers for her opponent that Nina Turner is against $15 minimum wage and against Medicare for all. What? So even though Brown is against progressive positions and will fight tooth and nail against those progressive positions, she knows the voters are progressive. So she is pretending that Nina Turner is against progressives right before the election. Now that is a prototypical establishment corporate Democrat lie. The reality is they want to make sure your wages are lower. That is their policy position. But when the election comes, they want to pretend to be on your side. So they're doing vicious smears against Nina Turner as we speak. And I'll end on that note. Bernie Sanders said it and Nina Turner said it, and I'll say it. Why do you think millions of dollars in corporate money has come against Nina Turner? Because they're scared to death that she's gonna actually represent you guys. Those interests ironically believe the same thing I believe, which is that you should have hope. Nina Turner is going to fight for you, and she is going to make a difference. All those giant corporations and all their lobbyists are right now shaking in their boots because of how much of a difference they think Nina Turner is gonna make. Now, again, what they don't know is that it's not just Nina Turner, it's also you guys. You're the wind in her sails, and without your help, whether it's volunteering or giving money at ninaturner.com, either way, it doesn't matter, or even doing anything, it's just sharing a video of Nina Turner, sharing the right message about Nina Turner, whatever it is. They don't know the army she's got behind her, and an army of love. People who care and who believe and who think we can make a difference. And those corporations and their lobbyists are worried that we're right, that she will make a difference. So that's what this election is about. And we're gonna find out on Tuesday if the forces of good or the forces of darkness have won. Pretty much everything is on the line. It was an honor today to cover this for you guys and to let you know about this momentous election. Thank you for watching, thank you for caring, thank you for participating. Much love. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.